Yeah, ho. You know who it is. This time, I'll be going over how the Viiashé Settlement Forces were formed. And this will be the crew that belongs to Sir Sworn. Rufhead, Echoes, Pynyja, and Hilla Zane are in this crew. So let's get into it. Back when they were all 13, they attended the Totemil summer camp. Yeah, you remember that name, right? All the way on Leo Yellow 2. Located near that patch of desert of Oroto. The original 5 were sent there together per the wishes of the Maximal Sale. They loved it immediately, and it was a long first day of them trying to get their tour of the camp. They met the other kids in their future superhero legion, but it was 70 Sev who brought them all together. He got them all to sit at a table on the first dinner, cause he recognized all of their individual might way before any super being stuff came up. It was then 13 souls will be interlocked forever, with no psychic involved. It was pure magic from the first introduction to the last, and then there was the table pick. Side note, Sir Sworn will have that pick blown up and put on his spaceship. Moving along. That entire summer, the 13 most powerful kids had the time of their lives, converging and loving almost everything they have ever gotten into thus far. Then a real summer camp began. Evekko and Eziano became honorary members of the Maximal Sale. Then they were inducted as members of the Coven later on in life. But they had a blood bond ceremony that involved 13 innocents beginning the Viiashé Settlement Forces. Now the name, all of them had a hand in it, but it's what the ladies did that had them settling on the name. During the course of that summer, they were pulled into a couple of situations, and after the end of each one, the word settlement was heard by the ladies. Because they didn't leave any of the kids behind during the summer camp, they thought it would be honorable to make a name based off of the 7 least mighty kids. They all sat down and enjoyed messing with those 7 letters. Eventually, Sir Sworn heard about what they were doing, and that's the moment he fell in love with all 6 of the ladies. Their hearts, with never leaving anyone behind, taught him something, and he solely went along with the name right then and there. Their names? Vabundry, Ilana, Igoris, Amita, Saisim, Hortense, and Asa. First of the Viiashé Roundtable, Sir Sworn. From birth, of Egyptian god descent, he is of the house of Rizvi, a family heavily connected to the throne of Etagwar. These families have been intertwined for majority of Ejimer's existence. That meaning, Rizvi is a house of knights. Etagwar is the house that is currently the throne of Gomelos. Rizvi is currently the main protection bloodline for Etagwar. Sir Sworn has been raised with Rufhead majority of their life. They have spent very little time apart to the point they have vowed allegiance on a level of friendship, brotherhood, and intimacy. 2 little boys in love forever is what they wanted because they both fell in love with all of the power they knew they would grow into. Sir Sworn, since he was 5, wanted to be just like the ladybugs his parents are. 2 very powerful, powerhouse ultimates with careers in superheroism that makes all villains think thrice. All. Been on a path to become just like this since he could walk. Rufhead being an immediate part of his life made it easier because of how powerful the 2 of them are together. When they were 10 years old, that's when the allegiance was solidified and Sir Sworn knew exactly what kind of power would make an excellent legion of heroes whenever he ages into teenhood. Sir Sworn is the captain of the Viiashé Settlement Forces. He is also a galactic-class one-man army hero and android designer. Second of the Viiashé Roundtable, Rufhead, from birth, of Panamanian god descent. He is the prince of the throne of Etagwar. His parents were given a throne by Rakoto. He deemed them the most benevolent family at the time. He built the Indias. Rufhead was conceived at the time war fronts were finally pieced out. So was his best knight, per the Knight Code, Sir Sworn. The 2 of them were raised together and somehow ended up soulmates at an early age. It was the perfect combination of might, bravery, and consistency. They knew they were on paths of excellence because of how they believed in each other. Although they were pretty much together, Rufhead resided mostly in Edgemere while Sir Sworn resided mostly in the real world. When Rufhead was alone, he spent a lot of time with adults guarding him as he ventured off in a hurry, mostly to find gifts for everyone he loved. Losing a gift for his parents made it so he wouldn't lose any more gifts. His entire lifespan can be deemed as a sugar daddy with how much he has gotten gifts for everyone, for simply being a lovely person. A lot of those gifts were enchanted with might, purposely to make his friend circle mighty for aspirations of making an excellent legion of heroes whenever he gets into teenhood. He is the secret weapon. He is the head of I Am the Adventure Gaming, IATA for short, and a galactic class one-man army hero and helper hero. Third of the Viiashé Roundtable. Echoes. Age 10 is when he met Sir Sworn and Rufhead, of Portuguese descent. He was simply an unfortunate that turned into a gift of the universe. Shortly after his birth, his parents were caught up in a war situation because of the state of Brazil 35 years ago. Orphan he became, but the Maximu Seiyuu was there when his parents bit the dust. They took him in, molded all of his potential into a state of excellence at a very young age. By the time he was 7, he had enough spells to protect himself as he ventured. Never alone, he was accompanied by his 2 favorite kiddos, Pynyja and Hilla Zane, 2 other orphans that had been with him for a couple of years. A few years later was when the 3 of them met their new best friends, Sir Sworn and Rufhead, at the Tender Tens tournament. They met each other and became inseparable, but it was when they were all 13 that a loving triad would be created between Echoes, Sir Sworn, and Rufhead. The excellent triad was created before the summer camp. Echoes is the head of magic for the Viiashé Settlement Forces. His categories are Life, Enchant, Flare, and Unicorn. His other job titles are the King of Brazil 0, the King of the Maximu Seiyuu, and a Galactic Class one-man army blue mage. Fourth of the Viiashé Roundtable, Pynyja, age 10, of African descent. She was raised by a Kyojin faction since her birth, and Kyojins are the monsters that best look like Shumagrabbed, an eyeball with tentacles. Very well taken care of, but the Kyojin faction didn't give her to the humans until they found the right match for her. Because Kyojins have a reputation of the unknown, no one saw it coming when they opened up a nest over Earth 0. Raised a lot of alarms, but they wanted to talk to the Maximu Seiyuu, because they deemed them capable of raising a powerful witch-to-be. Her parents were lost in space, and Kyojins will never resurrect anything other than their species. Yet, Pynyja was still taught human tongue, human formalities, monster formalities, and how to harness her powers way before humans would ever consider training a super being. So, with that being said, she was already 3 years old, and they was teaching her. At the tender age of 5, she was given to the Maximu Seiyuu. Ever since, this coven has been untouchable. She is the head of farming for the Viiashé Settlement Forces. Her 4 categories are Kyojin, Dark, Fire, and Electricity. She's the Underqueen of Brazil 0 and the Underqueen of the Maximu Seiyuu, and the Galactic Class one-woman army green mage. Fifth of the Viiashé Roundtable, Hilla Zane, age 10, of Brazilian descent, unknowing of anything. A blank mental space is what she was. Vessel malnourished in darkness and kept there for 5 years. It's a mystery to how she was one of the very few survivors in the basement of that church. The trauma of not knowing you're a human for 5 years was an incredibly difficult challenge for psychics to help her. All they saw was darkness, and it took them a long time to bring her out of the darkness. Turned from constant black liquid to gray to silver, and eventually she could see. By that time, Hilla was very plugged to Echoes and Pynyja because of their holy trinity of just being 3 orphans born on the same day. When Hilla Zane could see them for the first time, she hugged them forever, it seemed. They were inseparable, and they took charge as 6-year-olds with training her. Because of that, the dawn of a weapon of mass destruction began to be developed. It took her a while to find her voice, but when she did, she finally put the thoughts and words together to ask to be made into a super being. When Pynyja was inducted into the coven, it made the coven untouchable. When Hilla Zane was made into a super being, The coven became untouchable times 3. She is the head of food for the Viiashé Settlement Forces. She is a Galactic Class 1 woman army shiro, gunwoman, strategist, and the guardian of the Maximal Sale. 6th of the Viiashé Roundtable. 77, 13. Of Samoan descent. He was always big, strong, muscly, and full of vigor. Parents were feeding him constantly because he was constantly being a young super being. Boy needed fuel around the clock and never stopped. All that paid off when he went to Totemil. He was used to gathering the most powerful because of his sensory abilities. Absolutely loves power and learning about it. He was already clocking other kids before the bus got to the summer camp, then started to clock all of the others during the tours, but it was around the first dinner that brought the Viiashé Settlement Forces to fruition. He had just broken into his Matism form, so his scanning abilities were finally exact. The 12 people he gave coins to were asked to sit at a specific table. All of them were impressed that he made coins with their names on them. They accepted the invite and broke bread in a way they will all come to love for a lifetime. He's the head of operations, Galactic Class Spaceship Pilot, Gundam Pilot, and General Pilot. 7th of the Viiashé Roundtable, Ninalla, 13. Of Moroccan descent, she was born special, a rainbow gargoyle, a beautiful one, at that would develop statuesque strategies that would impress and defeat an enemy every time. As soon as she could transform, she was given free range of venturing by her parents. She felt lucky she got to go to Totemil. It's the place to be when you're 13 for the summer, considered one of the best summer camps for super beings for their specific age alone, because there are so many legends that run that summer camp for heroes to be. All she wanted was to go in and come out top of the teams. Unknowingly, she was going to be ultimized beyond her imagination. The 12 connections she made turned her into the goddess she has always wanted to be. Head of travel. She's a Galactic Class monster slayer, tamer, and hero helper. 8th of the Viiashé Roundtable, Eziano, 13. Of Colombian descent, the softness in which his parents tried to raise him was non-existent. All he wanted was to be powerful. Made do by sneaking around to get the training he wanted. Made good use of every second to get awarded admission to Totemil, all by his lonesome. Parents were partially pissed and concerned he rebelled responsibly for the sake of his own happiness. He wasn't though. He was aiming to get picked up by a stronger coven someday. Lucky for him, he got what he wanted. Meeting Evekko, Echoes, and Pynyja made him the happiest boy alive. Yet the softness his parents tried to bestow on him provided him with a tenderness to his spellbinding that refined his powers to match the other 3 spellbinders that were considered the top 3 of the summer camp at day 1. He's the head of education. His 4 categories are sound, hypnotism, weather, and triceratops. He's a Galactic Class 1-man army blue mage, general surgeon, and general teacher. 9th of the Viiashé Roundtable, Animisha, 13. Of Jamaican descent, with a love for anime unlike any other, peep her name. She means that shit. With a tie that reflects nothing but a fandom, she has always been the most popping girl around. Yet her battlefield style matched Sir Swarm's perfectly. Her eyes miss nothing. That should have been a testament to her style, but all you need is for her to be walking in front of the pack. Her case, vetting game is universal and never misses anything threatening. You can chalk that up to her afterlife powers, but it's how she cocooned into the butterfly of the battlefield when she turned 13. All of the camp counselors were worried about her family's reputation. A ton of insect wielders with ghost powers have ghost hives all around the galaxies, and they tend to be leaders of them. She's the head of customs, a Galactic Class board handler, artist, and annihilation shiro. And remember, board handlers are people that handle the commission boards, the bulletins, distress signals like that, if I could talk right. 10th of the Viiashé Roundtable, State of Yep, 13. Of Nubian descent. Regardless of everyone being gung-ho about superheroism, he is the most gung-ho out of this crew. Everybody and their grandparents can get it if some foul shit is going on. Always up for protecting the masses and usually does it with the mentality of asking questions. Never. After he aged into his powers, he begged his parents to get a tattoo. Ended up doing it anyway. He has good luck, tatted on the back of his neck, because that's the last position you want to be around him. He doesn't have eyes in the back of his head, but Bull of Life is a superpower. Life power is so vivid, he can always tell whenever another being is within 3 miles of his vicinity. Even through walls, force fields, bunkers, and a whole brawl. Good luck. He's the co-captain of the Viiashé Settlement Forces. He's a galactic class one-man army hero, psychologist, and linguist. 11 of the Viiashé Roundtable. Lijji 13 of Jamaican descent. Started as a kid with her parents. She would responsibly look after the ship while they were out space archaeology. She took after the both of those power suit carriers by having a power suit of her own by the time she was 7. It suited to grow with her. The Viiashé Saturn X370 looks just like the colors of Saturn and has built-in protocols to take care of a kid if the kid can't take care of itself. In Lijji's case, she never needed those protocols because by the time she was 10, she was handling mission objectives with her parents against monsters 100 times her size, sometimes Mecha, and all of their artificial intelligence too. She's the head of Fringe. She is a galactic class bounty huntress, survivalist, and microbiologist. 12th of the Viiashé Roundtable. Evekko, 13, of Taiwanese descent, mostly referred to as the Gecko. He stayed in his hybrid form for the most part as soon as he hit puberty. Even came to the summer camp in hybrid form. Talking about Cowbunga is for the glorious, and had the whole bus he was on shouting it too. Scaly but powerfully and protecting, always ready for anything because of the way his coven raised him. He took the absolute route and hasn't had much of a rest day since. Doesn't want it any other way. But what he strategically fell short, his new comrades to be will help him even out to excellency. He will never forget the first dinner. He looked in 12 pairs of eyes and simply felt his future. Scaly but powerfully and protecting, turned to God mode that dinner. He's the head of medicine. His categories are Spinosaur, wind, stars, and manipulation. He's a galactic class aerologist, zoologist, and biologist. 13th of the Viiashé Roundtable. Congratulatia. 13 of Caucasian descent. Grew up being a little jealous of Matism wielders, but she learned how to make do. His name is Sir Server, and everyone has been loving him since. There may be nothing like wishing you could turn into a machine at any given time, because to be able to do it would be ultimate. Yet, her parents told her superpowers are the definition of the sky is the limit. Thinking harder and harder on what kind of mecha companion to build had her researching all kinds of mecha throughout time. Had too much of an extensive library to enjoy while designing her mecha. Imagination as a superpower is a trump card any legion of heroes would love to have on a daily basis, to serve nothing but ass whoopings in the name of innocence. She's the head of technology. Her categories: explosion, electricity, mirror, and machinery. She is a galactic class spaceship, Gundam, and space colony mechanic. Alright! I'm sorry, I had to do a little blender from Bob's Burgers real quick, but the Viiashé Settlement Forces were loved by the camp and served them just as much love. Once the camp was over, no matter what was going on around the world, if something came up, majority of them were on the same battlefield, handling villains together. All of their accomplishments were heavenly and productive to what Sir Swarm wanted at a young age. Then Captain Louche, his arch nemesis, started doing what she was doing, and that was the beginning. Sir Swarm called in a favor to get his spaceship designed and built. Like the captain he is, he involved all of them, but in very secretive manners. So when the spaceship was all the way built, the surprises kept coming. He had master quarters built for all of them and showed no favoritism to Echoes or Rufhead. The beginning of this new superhero legion was very young, and because all of them knew crunch, Year 8108 was huge for superhero kind. Sir Swarm's parents were both space rangers to an extent. God-born, but just as minded had them becoming a superhero legion in their day and until they want to stop. Sir Swarm made it so that his very old parents could chill for an eternity because all they wanted was another ladybug on the good side of humanity. The kids all know his parents back then and thought they were all special because he chose them. Their lives were already coursing with power, but being under Sir Swarm's wings is lovely, to say the least. Adventuring non-stop and gaining more power non-stop was fear in a black spaceship. It may glow white with life because of the occupants, but I kid. It's a huge omen to villainy, and the only people that have countered the Viiashé might is the loose coat endeavors. They have been at each other's neck since 8108. Yet, none of them have been dead for long. And I don't think I'm going to cover all of the members of the loose coat roundtable. But if I do, you'll know about it. Anyway, there was the Viiashé Settlement Forces. They have been in a story since the beginning because 3 of their members are 3 of the main characters. There would be Echoes, Rufhead, and Sir Swarm. And you know Rufhead is on the green level of character, so you see him in the first part of the story. Anyway, I think you'll like them. The Viiashé Settlement Forces put in a lot of work around the galaxies constantly, just like Cruncher's crew. Constantly, just like the Galactic Forces, and constantly, just like Purge. But, you know, it's a good thing you don't live in that world, because your evil ass will probably get body slammed over and over again. And on that note, you better be doing good in this world. Anyway, until next time, TPB, he get it in. Just with the pen so you can swallow all this sin. So tell a friend. Mwah.